Oh my, well, I've been by myself most of this week. Joanne, like I said, has been down in Texas to see Miles and babysit. But before she left, she was down in the basement Monday evening, and she called out to me. She said, "Our washing machine is broken. Come down and look at it." So I did. And I took a piece of paper and a pencil with me so I could write down everything that was wrong with it. And then I got online and looked at the average repair costs for all those problems and deduced that it would be cheaper to buy a new set than fixing our 25-year-old washer and dryer. So I waited until she was out of town and then phoned Shuey's appliance store down in Greencastle. And this past Thursday, they delivered a new washer and dryer to our home. It's going to be a surprise there for Joanne. With the kids grown and gone and our laundry loads reduced, we anticipate this being our last washer and dryer we will ever buy. Now, Joanne's not seen it yet. Good luck with that. That's what they said.
Did you keep the receipt?
I've already done a load of laundry. I wanted to surprise her. I did her laundry, cleaned up. Probably ran the dryer a bit too long. Dried some pants a bit too long. But other than that, everything turned out great. Picking her up at the airport tonight, as I said, at 11:30, because Joanne likes to save money by picking the most inconvenient flights operated by obscure airlines on the verge of bankruptcy. Airlines that allow passengers to bring aboard their livestock, whose pilots double as mechanics and ticket takers. That's the airplane Joanne wants. So I was there by myself when our washer and dryer was delivered, and I have to say that having a new appliance delivered to your home is one of the sweetest moments in a homeowner's life. I wish Joanne had been there to share that moment with me. Nothing says I've arrived more than paying cash for a new appliance. When we were first married, we had to buy our appliances on time. We bought everything on payment plans, appliances, cars, even our 2 children, whose delivery bills we paid off just as they were moving out. I wanted a 3rd child, but Joanne said not while we still owed on the 2 we had. Well, you'll remember Paul's letter to the church in Philippi when he famously said, "I have learned in whatsoever state I am to be content. I have been without, and I have been well off." Now, here at Fairfield, you can count on learning the very latest in biblical research and scholarship. So I should point out that scholars recently discovered a new addition to that letter where Paul said, "I have been without and I have been well off, and well off is easier." Which is certainly true. Access to sufficient resources does make life easier. We've been talking about the do's and don'ts in times of change. So far, we've said that during times of significant change, we should heed the angel on one shoulder and not the devil on the other. Last week, we thought about the power and importance of questions, how questions open doors while answers often close them. We know that one of the greatest drivers of social change is economic disparity, when wealth is concentrated in the hands of a relative few, leaving the many to go without. So today I want to suggest that in times of dramatic social change, The poor are vulnerable in a way the affluent and the prosperous are not. Affluence, even modest affluence, protects us from the unpredictable difficulties that arise in life. For some folks, replacing an appliance is a simple matter of making a phone call. For the less fortunate, it is a source of great anxiety, the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, which means the difference between paying for medicine or not, of going hungry or not, of seeing a doctor or not, of clothing your children or not. This is why, during times of significant social change, when the winds of change have swept so many asunder, we, you and I, must be acutely aware of how others might be left behind, mindful that what are minor inconveniences for us might well be catastrophic for others. When I was fresh out of high school, still living at home, I bought my first car. It was 1979, and I bought a used 1974 Volkswagen Beetle that came with a 30-day warranty. On the 31st day, the engine blew. I was towed to a Volkswagen repair shop where I was told it would cost $700 to repair. I had just spent all my money on that car. I didn't have $700. My parents weren't inclined to loan it to me or were unable to. They didn't say. But for a month, I rode my bicycle from Danville to Plainfield to work every day until I earned the money to fix it. What I remember most about that event is the hopelessness I felt. Affluence protects us from difficulty. Poverty exposes us to it. A friend of mine has the best definition of government I've ever heard. Government, he said, is those who can helping those who can't. Government is helping those who can, is those who can helping those who can't. It is too often the case that in times of significant change, governments absolve themselves from their duty to care. Politicians pit one group against another, the rich against the poor, the white against the black, the native-born against the immigrant, the Jew against the Palestinian, the capitalist against the socialist. We are warned about the scarcity of resources, urged to look out for our own kind, to pull back the helping hand, to turn down, to turn from, and finally to turn away. Friends, reject with all your heart the mean impulses of those people who've never stooped to lift another's burden. Reject with all your heart the anger of those people so blinded by privilege they cannot see or sense the hopelessness of the poor. Isn't it ironic that even as affluence in some ways softens us, it simultaneously hardens us? I know a man who inherited a bunch of money, so he travels a lot. And he's always bragging about how travel has broadened his life. If you're around him 5 minutes, he begins to talk about how travel has just broadened his life. And that can certainly happen. But in his case, just the opposite has happened. Affluence has shrunk his life, has narrowed his concerns, has limited his compassion, has built barriers around his heart. In times of change, look out for the weak. As Quakers, the first thing we do when we've arrived is reach out to others to bring them along, to help them arrive alongside us. Embrace with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength our sacred and joyful duty to enfold within our lives those battered by the hard winds of life. This means we pick our heroes carefully. We pick our heroes carefully, but especially so in times of great change. Pick those like the Good Samaritan who stopped to help a broken, beaten man when no one else would. Pick those like Joseph of Arimathea, a rich and powerful man who, learning of Jesus' death, took charge of his body and laid him to rest in his own tomb. Pick those like Ruth, not content to offer only her thoughts and prayers, but went to a grieving Naomi and stayed by her side. Pick your heroes carefully. Pick your heroes carefully. Paula mentioned Einstein in her centering thought. In 1933, alarmed by the rise of anti-Semitism in his native Germany, after his summer apartment and Berlin apartment were raided by the German government, Albert Einstein fled Germany to come to America, where he began teaching at Princeton University. He proved to be a very popular professor, so well-liked that in 1938, when the students at Princeton were asked to rank the greatest living person, Einstein ranked second. First place went to Adolf Hitler. Pick your heroes carefully. When you've arrived, bring others with you. Use your power to bless, not curse, to help, not hinder, to bring along and never, ever hold back.